In politics, you even kiss frogs. I'm not threatened by politicians who divided Africa. I'm not threatened by politicians who divided Africa. Because black is quality. That's what we represent. Divide Africa over the resources discovered by capitalism in Africa. And we're not ashamed of that. And if that thing will not make us win election, then we're happy to be opposition forever. We're not going to win election through political expedience and compromise the true liberation of the oppressed black people in the name of winning elections. We don't hate white people. We love oppressed people. We are for oppressed black people. And therefore, if you are oppressed, then EFF is your home. It's not about hatred, it's about the love. And we can't love both again. You know, again, the EFF or polygamy doesn't work. One wife, and that wife is black. The EFF wife is black. We were not divided because we chose to divide ourselves. We were divided because of colonialism. Because colonialism thrives out of the division of African people. If you are united, colonialists will never survive in this beautiful continent. It is them who sat somewhere and decided to divide Africa. And they divided Africa not because they loved the beauty of Africa. They never loved our mountains. They never loved our trees. They never loved our beautiful beach. They never loved the people of Africa. They divided us because of the resources of Africa. That's why before colonialism, it was business companies that came here before. It is those companies that discovered the beauty of Africa in terms of resources. And following those companies, then the colonizers decided to divide the resources amongst themselves. They were not dividing the continent. They were dividing the resources. They were saying, you will get the resources of Southern Africa. You will get the resources of Eastern Africa. You will get the resources of Northern Africa. That's how they divided us, not because they loved the beauty of Africa. They loved our resources. And those resources were discovered by companies. So let me tell you, I am not scared of colonizers. I am scared of capitalism, because it is capitalism that attracted colonizers to come and divide Africa over the resources discovered by capitalism in Africa. I'm not threatened by politicians who divided Africa. I'm threatened by capitalism, because those followed the companies. When you hear the word multinational companies, you must know a danger to African society. That's what they are. They discover resources, they go call upon their governments to come and impose on Africa. They are puppets and they are laws, so that they make it easy for those companies to steal more resources without Africans rising in defense of their resources. Our problem, more than anything, is capitalism. The defeat of capitalism will be a defeat of colonialism and imperialism. We are divided because people want the beautiful riches of Africa. So we must unite as Africans. We must follow in the footsteps of those who came before us. We must follow in Nkuruma's footsteps. We must say, those who want to divide Africa, they should not do it in our name. None of us here in South Africa can claim not to be an African. All of you came to settle here, coming up from the north, and that's where you ended up. Therefore, you must never claim to be something else other than African. The rejection of other Africans is a self-rejection, it's a self-hatred, it's because you don't know who you are. If you know who you are, you will never reject people from DRC, you'll never reject people from Nigeria, you'll never reject people from Ghana, you'll never reject people from Zimbabwe, because if you trace your history, you are actually a Zimbabwean. If you trace your history, you are actually Nigerian. That's what makes us Africans. That's the beauty of Africa. We share history, we share culture, and all of that the imperialists have destroyed. They've destroyed that knowledge because they know that if you know that history, they know that if you know that you share a culture, you are going to embrace each other, therefore you are going to be united, and a united Africa is a threat to imperialism, is a threat to colonialism, is a threat to capitalism. That's why they destroyed African philosophy, that's why they destroyed African history, that's why they destroyed African knowledge, because with that knowledge we will know that we are one thing. That's why the decolonized education is very important, because through decolonized education we will know that we are the founders of knowledge, and therefore there is nothing better about Europe or America or Asia. Everything else started here. Civilization started here. They came to copy it from us and then destroyed our knowledge so that they can claim that they are the ones who discovered civilization. If you love Africa and its people, you will make it your mission to go and research and educate yourself about the history of this continent. Once you know the history and the contribution of this continent in the world literature, then you will love this continent. You will know that the rest of other continents were born out of this continent called Africa. So we must, from today, continue to celebrate those who embrace fellow Africans. We must isolate those who call people makwere. We must isolate those who are perpetuating the division of African continent. Because without the unity of Africa, we will never defeat the devil called capitalism. Why do you love why do you love white people so much, yet you hate your own African brothers? When you chase foreigners, you never chase white people. When you chase foreigners, you never chase Indians or Chinese. You always go for Africans because you suffer from self-hate. It's because you don't love yourself. It's because you think everything black is cheap. It's because you think everything African must be killed. You are a puppet of white supremacy. You are a slave of white masters who have planted a seed of self-hate amongst black people. We must love ourselves. We must protect each other. These people who are here in South Africa from DRC, they didn't come here because of their own choice. They've got problems at home. In the same way we were in their countries when we had problems here in South Africa. We must return the favor. In any way, it's an African culture. Motho ke motho ka batho. So if you do not embrace Ubuntu, then you are not an African. There is no African who chase away visitors, including uninvited visitors. We welcome them, we cook food for them, even when we don't have enough. It is in our culture to embrace visitors, because that's what makes us good people. That's why we welcome white people. That's why we welcome them, all of them. Even when we know this is not their home. They too, this is not their home. They know that. But we welcome them. But since they are visitors and uninvited visitors, they must behave like one and not take over our continent. It is important that we continue to remind them that they came here uninvited, but we welcomed them and will make their stay the most enjoyable stay, as long as they respect Africans, as long as they don't see Africans as their workers, as long as they don't see Africans as subhuman, as long as they don't see Africans as things to be disregarded when it comes to the economy. They must see Africans as equal partners, if not the majority shareholders of African economy, because this economy of Africa belongs to the people of Africa. We welcome foreign investment. We welcome multinationals, but they must come through our own terms. Today, when we say there is unemployment in South Africa and the whole of Africa is black Africans, how can we say our country is rich with mineral resources, yet the people, the indigenous people of this continent, are the poorest of the poor? We must reclaim our mineral resources. We must reclaim our natural resources. We must reclaim our land, our mountains, our oceans. Everything that comes with the land of Africa belongs to us. We must reclaim it, but we will never get it for as long as we are not united. Nkrumah saw this thing long before. He said it was easy to fight for political power. Once they discovered that there is still more power to fight for, be it social and economic power, then they realized that the unity of African people is more important than it was posed before liberation. Now we are fighting a difficult struggle. They've let go of political power. They are refusing to let go of economic power, because that is what they are here for. They are here for economic power. So the unity of Africans will usher in economic power. Zimbabwe alone, it will never succeed with the land struggle. Leave Mugabe. Of course, Mugabe must go. Of course, we don't want leaders who overstay their welcome. But Mugabe is 100% right when it comes to land. But when he is alone, that land struggle will not succeed. That's why South Africa must join and take the land. Mozambique must join and take the land. Zambia must join and take the land. Namibia must join and take the land. Then in that way, all of us take our land. They will have nowhere to go. Then we'll help them under our dictatorship. The dictatorship of the proletariat. The dictatorship of the working class, because that's where we want them. But if Zimbabwe takes the land and other countries next to Zimbabwe do not take the land, then the land struggle will not succeed, because they will simply leave Zimbabwe to South Africa like they did, and they irritate us here, using the laws of South Africa to undermine the achievement of African revolution in Zimbabwe. No, we want them, when they run away from Zimbabwe, to find us here taking the land. When they go to Mozambique, they must find the Mozambican taking the land. Then they must know they've got nowhere to go. They must sit down and negotiate their stay in our beautiful land. What should unite the people of Africa is the land question. What should unite the people of Africa is an economic question. What should unite the people of Africa is a social question. The hatred of each other will just perpetuate the division of Africa. And continuing the division of Africa, then you are continuing the poverty of Africa. We are poor because we are not united. We are poor because we have no regard for each other. Even few Africans who have survived and succeeded, when they treat a fellow African, they don't treat a fellow African with respect. When you are a successful African, treat other Africans with respect. Advocate Mpofu, when you go to a black lawyer, you must get a proper and quality services. He must not give you a cheap service, because in his mind, Africans don't mind cheap things. When we go to doctors, when we are treated by nurses, when we go into a shop owned by Africans as fellow Africans, we must be treated with respect. We must provide each other quality service. It starts with us. Because some successful Africans have got no regard for fellow Africans. When they go to Africans, they give them cheap service. Should I give you an example of an African who doesn't respect a fellow African? There is a guy called African National Congress. He has got no regard for Africans. He doesn't give quality services to Africans. When he goes to white suburbs, he gives them quality services. When he comes to black communities, he gives them lousy, cheap services. That is the problem with some of the successful Africans. Please don't be like ANC. When you see a black person, provide quality service, because they too deserve quality service. When we hire a stage and sound system, it must be quality when it comes from a black person to black people. Not some sound system which is going to switch off when you are speaking. When you check who's the owner, it's a black person. Why are you doing that? The client is a black person. Respect each other. Before you ask whites and Europeans to respect you, you must respect yourself. You must take yourself serious. Provide quality services to each other. Then the white minority will know that these ones, you can't disrespect them. How do you expect Europeans to respect you when you call your fellow African brother and sister a kwere kwere? And when you look at a white person, you call him an investor. Our brothers from Somalia, who are having spaza shops in the townships, they are being attacked all the time. But Pick n Pay, ShopRite, Pep Store, all the shops owned by white people are not being attacked in the townships. They call them investors. They say, no, these ones are taking our jobs. There is no Somalian who closed down South African spaza shops. That South African spaza shops was closed down by introduction of Pick n Pay in the townships, by ShopRite in the townships. Those are the things you must do when you see Pick n Pay coming into Soweto, when you see Pick n Pay coming into Alexandra. The owners of spaza shops must come together and march to Pick n Pay and say to Pick n Pay, you are only going to open here if you give us 40% shares. Otherwise, there will not be Pick n Pay here. Hey, Somalians are taking our spaza shops. Your spaza shop collapsed before the arrival of Somalians. Actually, Somalians are helping you because now they are renting your empty spaza shop. Stop simplifying a complicated economic matter. A white man once came to me and he thought he was making a joke. And I was very angry after he spoke to me. He said to me, had we known that democracy is going to be so nice, would have given it to you in the 70s to avoid 1976. I said, what do you mean democracy is so nice? He said, we are making more money now, more than what we used to make under apartheid. He thought he was making a joke. And I realized this guy is right. These people now, they had one shop in Polokwane. There was one Pick n Pay next to Taxi Rank. That was the only Pick n Pay. Now they've got Pick n Pay in Venda, they've got Pick n Pay in Giyani, they've got Pick n Pay everywhere. They never had those during apartheid. The so-called democracy opened doors for white minority to become more rich. And you are fighting amongst yourself, fighting for useless things. You're killing fellow African brothers. You say they took your jobs. What jobs are there? Because these people are not working for your government. These people are not working for any of the big companies in South Africa. They are selling makip here in Joburg Park. Yet you go around saying they took your jobs. They know poverty. And they know that every single cent counts. So if you take yourself too serious to sell makip, someone has seen a vacuum because nature does not allow a vacuum, and that person has occupied that space, is selling makip. You go around, they took our jobs. Go and sell makip if you want to sell makip. They will never stop you from selling makip. Stop fighting for small things and saying they took our jobs, referring to makip. The person who took your job is a white man who brought a big mall. Every village I go to now, when we campaign, everywhere I enter, the villagers are saying to me, Malema, we need a mall. And I thought, they think malls are being sold somewhere. I must go and buy it and come and put it here. They don't know that they can come together and open a mall in the same way they came together during apartheid. They contributed money and built schools. The schools in the villages were built by our people with their own money. Why are they not coming together, put money together, build a mall? When they say to me, Malema, we want a mall, they mean go and call a white man to come and do a mall. Because the oppressor is in possession of our mind. Every time we think the oppressor is our liberator. That's why oppressor is enjoying here in our country, because they are in control of our mind. Why would a white man respect you when you don't respect women? When you see women, you see an object. You can just attack anytime you want. You can use it for anything you want. You don't see a fellow human being. When you see a woman, you don't see another human being. You see a tool to be used in a bedroom for your satisfaction as a man. You have gone so crazy to a point that you are now even attacking children. You have moved from children now to grannies because you don't respect yourself. And then you wake up in the morning and say, hey, whites don't respect us. Why would they respect a person who's not respecting himself? It starts with you. You must have a self-respect. You must differentiate between kids, women, and grannies. And then women are the most peaceful, understanding people. If it was for me, this world was supposed to be ruled by women, because women don't fight easily. They always reason it out. They don't use power. They always, all of you men gathered here, when you are on the wrong at home, especially those who are married, I don't know about those who are not married. Floyd Shibambo can start talking about those things with me, because he's new into this institution of marriage. We welcome him into this institution of marriage. When you are at home and you are wrong, you argue every time a woman wants to make a point. You don't allow it. You say, hi, I don't talk. I don't talk. Because you know that once she opens her mouth, she's going to paralyze you. She's going to give you the facts. And you are still going to argue that, I don't want to listen to that. But when you are alone, you know that she is right. That's how they are. They believe in the power of persuasion. Why do you kill such people? It doesn't matter whether you bought them food, whether you bought them expensive bags. Hey, or Papa, you chose to do those things. She never put a gun on your head and forced you to buy those things you bought for her. You did it voluntarily. Hey, jiwa munna, au jiwe. Mkala, munna ku jiwa ngwana khosi. O tla complain. Hey, women also buy you presents. They start buying you with a roll-on. They as a birthday present, because they can't tell you, hey, there is a difficult smell here. Because they are very nice people, very peaceful people. They buy you roll-on, they buy you perfume, they buy you nice clothes and all that. The day you divorce them, They never threaten to kill you. You exchange presents. But when she says she wants to leave, you are attacking her. You think it's being an African man to kill and beat up women makes you an African man, like Boko Haram, abducting young kids. Why are you not going to take those politicians and kidnap them? Because your problems is politicians. It's not a girl child. Kidnap politicians. They chose that job. The kids never chose to be kidnapped by anyone. Go to politicians. Leave girl child alone. Hey, when they say men are trash, they don't mean you who knows his place in society. For as long as there is a rascal male, all of us were a mess. You must know that everything else you do, you represent man as a man. You represent all of us. Even behind closed doors, the minutes you take behind the closed doors, you are representing us men. So if you take 2 minutes, we're all blamed like that. Or men, South African men are like that. What they say, hey, and you can't, and when they say South African men are useless, you can't be going around trying to prove it. I don't take 2 minutes. When they say 2 minutes, it means there was a fellow who misrepresented us here. In the same way, a fellow misrepresent us, kill Karabo and go and bury her. That's a misrepresentation. So all of us take a collective responsibility. South African men are trash. That's who we are. And if we don't want to be called that, then let us change our behavior. Then women will start tweeting hashtag South African men are lovers. Let us change our conduct. Karabo's death must serve as a wake-up call, not to a girl child, but to a male. Stop your behavior. There is no Nigerian that gives people drugs and kill them. There is no Zimbabwean that gives people drugs and kill them. No, all of us Africans. Karabo was not killed by a Nigerian. Most of these people are killed by their relatives. They are killed by people who are known to them. The day you are shifting the blame and says South African women are killed by foreigners, we will never solve this problem because we are failing to admit that we are trash. We think trash is African males and not ourselves. Let us take responsibility. Stop blaming Nigerians. Stop blaming other fellow African brothers. It is us who disrespect our own women, our own grandmothers, our own children. It starts here. Go and change. Reason it out with your partner. Don't bully her. Don't beat her up. If you love your mother, you will love the next woman. If you respect your mother, you will respect the next woman. It starts with you. From today, you must say on an Africa Day, because Africa is characterized by Ubuntu, I change to become a better person. You were beating her yesterday. Today, Africa, go to your women and apologize. Let us go to them, all of us. All of you Africans here, all of you Africans all over the continent and the diaspora, let's go and apologize to our women and tell them that we are going to be their protectors. We are going to be the providers of our families. We will not cause pain to the loved ones. We will protect them. That's who Nelson Mandela was. That's who Samora Machel was. That's who Thomas Sankara was. Sankara advocated for the total liberation of women. We are nothing, Africa, without these people. They are the ones who gave birth to all of you, and therefore by virtue of giving birth to all of you, it means they gave birth to the continent called Africa. You must respect them. All of you who are committing crimes here in Johannesburg, in the hijacked buildings, you are painting Africa in a bad way. Hijacked buildings, please, you are creating home for yourself. Don't create safe haven for criminals. This Johannesburg here must be safe. Fellow Africans, when someone grabs a cell phone of a fellow African, why are you not helping a fellow African? You just watch and say, it's none of my business. It will happen to you. I said to you today, our central message is very simple: self-love. Let us love ourselves and don't negotiate anything second that is not African. This continent belongs to us. Xenophobia must come to an end. No one should attack African brothers and sisters in the name of the EFF. You know, I got a message this morning from a person who says to me, if EFF wants to win elections, it must abandon the land. And then I said, we're not going to do that. In the same way, one fellow was saying to me, if the EFF wants to win our people, it must speak against these foreigners. I said, we always do that. He said, no, this one's from Nigeria. I said, oh, I thought you foreigners, you meant white monopoly capital. Because those are foreigners, not these ones of ours. These ones of ours from Nigeria, from DRC, from Zimbabwe, from South Africa, they will all be treated the same if they commit crime. They are not foreigners, they are criminals. So don't say crime is committed by foreigners. You are again shifting blame, and we cannot deal with the issue of crime decisively. Let's go now to Alexandra Police Station. Let's go now to Moroka Police Station. Let's go now to Sun City Prison and check how many of those prisoners are foreigners. Then you will have the answer as to who's committing crime in South Africa. If a Nigerian commits crime, we will punish him. In the same way we'll punish a South African. Crime is crime. It doesn't matter who's committing it. Stop xenophobia. There is no one here who's taking your woman. Hey, Barinkela Basadi. There's no one here. Emren, how Sileka Mwanu? If we Shiman, you don't know how to propose. Stop blaming it on Nigerians. Hey, they are taking our women as if women are some objects waiting on a shelf to be picked up by Nigerians. Respect our women. Please, there is no one who's taking your woman. There is no one who's taking your business, you know where the problem is. The problem is white monopoly capital protected by the ANC, the most corrupt ANC under Jacob Zuma. Now, people say, no, you are blaming white monopoly capital, but you are voting DA. Hey, Vanna. Should we vote here in Johannesburg a corrupt government that is stealing unashamedly, and after stealing, they come with stolen goods and display them right in front of faces of poor people? Even if you don't love capitalism, we are under a capitalist state. We are going to use the system of capitalism to collapse it. We are not in alliance with DA. We will never be in alliance with DA. Let me tell you, in politics, strategy and politics and tactics are important. You don't use emotions. In politics, you even kiss frogs. You kiss frogs as long as you don't deviate from your strategic objective. You remain true to your strategic objective. The threat to EFF is not DA, it's the ANC. We must finish the ANC. Once we finish the ANC, DA, we just push it with one finger, go away. We are not in alliance with DA. We have not signed anything with the DA. We don't owe the DA anything. Tomorrow, we can just go to a council and say to ANC people, just pass a motion of no confidence against this fellow, so that we show him who's in charge here. And then we fold our arms. We don't owe them nothing. But we are dealing with this criminal here. Because the ANC with too much money is dangerous. When we take municipality away from the ANC, we are taking money away from the ANC. And that's how we are going to defeat them. The ANC is going to be defeated. And the day the ANC is defeated, that is the end of white monopoly capital. Because white monopoly capital, even when we are voting with DA, they know it very well that we are not friends. We are just waiting for the right moment. When we attack, that is the end of it. A revolution is not a 21st birthday party. It's a process. It's a process. Hamba kancane Africa, victory is certain. Freedom is coming. We want economic freedom for the whole continent of Africa. EFF is not a party of South Africa. It's a party of Africa. And for Africans in diaspora, anything black belongs here. We fight for black Africans everywhere. What is black? Then you must ask the question, what is black? Is Brian Molefe black? He's not. Black is not the color of your skin. Black is how you conduct yourself in your daily businesses. How do you steal money from a parastatal that must give electricity to poor people at an affordable rate? You steal money, you want to collapse that. That one is the only institution that gives people electricity. Brian Molefe wants to collapse it through corruption. And then, because you said you are fighting for blacks, then Brian, why are you fighting? Even when Brian is engaged in a program to undermine the black African majority. Because if ESCOM fails under African leadership, it has got implications for all of you. Every African will not be trusted. So we say to Brian, you are not going to mess it up in our name. We will rather remove you and get a better African who's going to run ESCOM better, so that Africans can be praised everywhere as having capacity to deliver. Let me tell you, here in Johannesburg, the senior position is the municipal manager. And then the second position is executive directors. And then the third is executive managers. All of those positions, we said to Mashaba of DA of white people, we don't want to see anything white here. If he dare puts a white person, the white person will remain him at the door. If he knows what is good for him, hey, DA is controlling EFF. We are controlling Johannesburg, Papa. We are controlling Tshwane. No white man has been hired. Many a times, Mashaba came with the names of white people. The other one, I remember he had some surname which sounded African. And I was quick to say, no, this one is fine. The deputy president called of the EFF and said, President, that guy who agreed on is a white person. I said, oh, don't even call. Just send an SMS or the deal is off with that one. Don't want. We're not in a business of nursing whiteness. So if you don't know what we're doing in these municipalities, very soon those whites will rise against their own DA and say, why did we vote for you? And then that's how it loses popularity. Strategy and tactics. We don't want blacks who are going to fail us in the name of blackness. Once you do things that are going to make many blacks suffer, you are no longer with us. You are white outside, inside, and black outside. We don't deal with such characters. We are for black. We speak for black, but because black is quality, that's what we represent. And we're not ashamed of that. And if that thing will not make us win election, then we're happy to be opposition forever. We're not going to win election through political expediency and compromise the true liberation of the oppressed black people in the name of winning elections. We don't hate white people. We love oppressed people. We are for oppressed black people. And therefore, if you are oppressed, then EFF is your home. It's not about hatred, it's about the love. And we can't love both again. You know, again, the EFF or polygamy doesn't work. One wife, and that wife is black. The EFF wife is black. So we can't have both. Ketile, ketile. We chose black people. Let's go and unite the continent. Let's go and fight xenophobia. Let's go and fight crime. Let's go and fight women abuse. Let us make Africa work. Africa is not a dark continent. Africa will never be a dark continent, because in Africa, that's where you find a big stone of a shining diamond. How can we be a dark continent when we've got a shining diamond? Continue to shine, Africa. Thank you very much.